welcome. We have upper body 60 minutes here for class today. The only equipment you should need are some dumbbells. A few of the moves, if you have a barbell, you could probably make it work, but I would just encourage you to take out your dumbbells. That's really all you'll need. And if you ever need to know how to do these moves with bands instead of dumbbells, please just reach out and let me know, and I can always demo that. I just haven't gotten any news that people needed that, so that's why I don't show it. Otherwise, we'll get our scripture started. All right, when prison walls shake. That's the name of the title today. It's from Acts 16:26. Suddenly, there was a massive earthquake, and the prison was shaken to its foundations. All the doors immediately flew open, and the chains of every prisoner fell off. So to give you a little context, Paul and Silas were severely beaten, thrown into a deep dungeon, but something happened in that deep, dark dungeon that thwarted the enemy's plans. So that's what we're going off today. How can we thwart the enemy's plans? Because whether you recognize it or not, there is a real enemy out there, and he has plans for your life, just like God does. All right. Crisscross those arms in front. If you want to add a little step touch, you sure can. I'm so excited you're here today. I'm glad you decided to come work it out with me. We're going to add some strength to our routine, bulk up our upper body, or maybe not even bulk, but just lean it up. Build muscle. That's what we're going for, right? All right, we're going to twist our torso. Twist. Add a little bit of legs now. Now I'm going to encourage you today to go a little bit heavier than usual. Whatever your usual is, we're going to try and take it up a notch. We're going to come to the edge of our mat. We're going to walk our hands down to the floor and then walk it out to the top of our mat. I want you to take your arms wide, come down to your knees, and give me 3 slow push-ups. Last one, I want you to push it up to a downward facing dog. So those hips go high. Those heels come towards the mat. And then I want you to walk those hands back to the feet. Roll it on up. Roll those shoulders a little bit here. We're going to walk it back down. So walk it down, inchworm it out. Top of your mat. When you get to the top, come down to those knees. Take those arms a little narrower this time. 3 tricep push-ups. So that just means that your arms are narrow, shoulder distance apart, not the width of your mat. Once you've gotten 3 in there, I want you to come up to a plank. Push it forward, push it back, push it forward, push it back, and then walk those hands back to the feet. Roll it on up. Come back to your feet. We're going to front stroke here. Front stroke is exactly what we're doing. If you've ever gone swimming before, that's what I want you to do with your arms right now. It's a great upper body warm-up move. Get some mobility into that shoulder. Warm up that shoulder joint. Go ahead and reverse. So now we're doing the backstroke. I'm really excited about this new mat that I got, the one underneath my feet. It's from Revelation Wellness. I just liked the colors. All right, we're gonna bring it forward, pull it back. Bring it forward, pull it back. I'm gonna warm up that back. You should feel a little bit of heat in those shoulders and back right now. We're obviously not using any resistance, so it shouldn't be hard, but there should be some heat. All right, we're gonna step and reach. I want you to reach up overhead, nice and slow here. Get that torso twisting in there as well. So I want you to be mindful of getting that torso, that belly button tucked in as you twist side to side. All right, we're gonna take it here, push it back. If you wanna step touch it out, you can. Main goal here is to warm up those triceps. All right, last few seconds. We're gonna curl it up, raise it up. Curl, raise. All right, grab your weights. We're gonna get set up for our first move. So for this first move, I want you to grab a heavier set of weights. So something really challenging for you. So I'm gonna start off with my 25s. Does that mean you need to go that heavy? Absolutely not. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna kind of turn to the side, but still sort of face you. So we're gonna hinge it forward. You're gonna row it up, and then you're gonna come to a goal post to row it up. So it's a narrow to a wide, okay? Narrow, so palms in. Wide, your palms are gonna face the back wall. All right, get ready with whatever weight you picked. Here we go. So feet are about hip distance apart. Those weights just go to your side. Pull it up. And then those palms face behind you. Check it out here. I am hinged forward. But I want you to be really careful here. I'm hinged forward. Keep going. But I don't want you to let your shoulders drop. Keep them back so your shoulders are square as you hinge. Hinging forward from the hip. 2, 1. Go ahead and rest. All right. Now, based on how that went, you can decide if you want to try and go to a lighter weight or if you can maybe go up a weight. I'm going to stick with the same one. Here we go. Same thing. Row and then wide. So we're working our back here and our shoulders. So I want you to try and let those weights dangle pretty low. Lift them up. Check in with those shoulders. Make sure they're not slouching at all. And this isn't a race to get in as many as you can. I want you to go heavy. Rest. If all you have is really light weights though, then I do want you to get in as many as possible. For this last round, I'm gonna go just a little bit lighter. Here we go. Row, row. So I kind of felt like I maxed out with that one. So because of that, I just went to a little bit lighter weight. I'm still doing the same motion. I'm still hinged forward at the hip. It's still that, bring that suitcase in and then take it wide. 2, 1, go ahead and rest. All right, you can go fairly heavy. We're doing biceps. I typically cannot do the same way that I do for a row that I can for bicep curls, but you might be able to. So check in with yourself and figure out what that feels like for you. Feet hip distance apart. You're gonna be a bicep curl, regular, and then wide. Okay? So check in here. Shoulders up, back, down, core engaged. Here we go. Curl it up, curl it wide. Collarbone. So both ways, if you can see, my palm is facing me, and then when it's at the bottom, it's facing out. And your elbows don't have to come way out here. We want to keep them into the body for this movement because you can go a little bit heavier and you'll isolate your biceps a little bit more that way. And rest. So if you start doing this instead of this, you're going to engage more of your shoulders and you're going to find that you can't lift as heavy of weight. 2, 1, same thing. If you want to slow it down a little bit, I encourage you to try and slow down the motion. You're doing great. Whew. These are really hard today. I don't know about you, but biceps are always a challenging one for me. Like I dropped down to my 12s, but they might as well be 100 right now. That's how they feel. And rest. All right, for the last round, it's going to be 3 pulses and narrow, 3 pulses wide. So if you want to drop down a little bit lighter, go for it. Pulses are harder. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Now you can count this out at your own pace. It doesn't have to be exactly 3 seconds. The point is that you're just making that little 1-inch movement. That's it. That's what I'm looking for, okay? If it gets to be too much, you can always alternate arms instead of doing 2 at once. I'll do that for 1. So you could come here and then come here. Rest. Whew. We are already on to our next move. So you don't have to use a chair for this next movement, but I do encourage it if you have one, or at least a wall, just because it requires some balance. So if you have a chair in your home somewhere nearby, go ahead and grab it for me. And I wouldn't go crazy heavy on this one. We're going to do a single leg deadlift to an overhead press. So that's deadlift, press overhead. So hinge it forward, reach it up. You probably noticed that we've been doing this move a lot. It's kind of my new favorite. It just really targets things that I sometimes have a hard time really targeting. Those lats. I have a hard time finding moves that are safe that target those lats with dumbbells. Rest. We're going to stay on that same leg, same arm. Quick little rest here. So I do know of a couple lat moves, but they're not always safe. All right, here we go. I know I took a class like a year or 2 ago where the teacher did a overhead lat move, and I ended up really tweaking something in my neck, shoulder area. So since it happened to me, it's definitely something that could happen to you. And I tried it once with my dad, and he hurt himself too. So hence, seeing this move so much. And rest. Woo! All right. No pulses on this move, mostly because we're working into our low back. I don't want you slipping a disc. 3, 2. Here we go. Typically, we do pulse on the last set. And if you really wanted, you could pulse up overhead. But the part that I really like here is that leaning forward, and then that lift up is when you engage those lats. So if you're doing a bunch of pulses overhead, you're really just challenging your shoulder at that point and not the muscle I'm trying to target. And rest. All right. Grab that chair or wall. Set yourself up so you're ready to do the other side. I mean, you're not facing a camera that has to keep you centered, so you might not need to realign yourself at all. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the class. I taught a water aerobics class on Sunday, and I called out for them to drink some water. Not a single person there had a bottle of water to drink. So I hope that's not you. I hope you're staying hydrated. All right, here we go. So we're on that other leg, other arm. Check it out here. So I'm using that chair for balance. I'm hinging forward from the hip, letting that arm come down nice and low, and then pulling that arm up, and then opening up my torso and lifting that arm overhead, and then tilting it forward, that hinge at the hip, pulling it up, lifting it up. Rest. This exercise could definitely be done without a chair if you don't have one, but since we're using a weight and we've got one leg up in the air, I just encourage a chair. Here we go. Or at least a wall really close by your body. So if you fall into a wall. I forget what move I was doing last Thursday, but I was totally grateful that there was a wall there to catch me because I totally biffed it. Keep it going here. Woo! 2, 1, rest. All right, one more set of these. Now, if these are starting to get hard, you can always drop down your weight, but I would challenge you, if you can still lift that arm overhead, stick with that heavy weight. Just like the story we talked about, how Paul and Silas were in that dungeon and the walls shake and crumble. That's what we're doing to those muscles right now. We're shaking them. We're breaking them down because we have to build something new. Build new strength. And that comes through that tear down. And rest. Woohoo! All right. That was the last move with the chair. So if you did have one, if you were using it, you can always throw it back to the side, out of your way. If it's not in your way, you don't have to move it. We're doing bicep curls again. I want you, for this first round, go heavier. So I've been doing 12s. I'm going to grab my 15s. Just because this first round I want to be heavy. Feet hip distance apart. Shoulders up, back and down. Palms facing in. Curl it up, curl it down. Here we go. So this is a hammer curl. Palms face each other. Try and really isolate that bicep. What I mean by that is, often I see this, where people are kind of like jerking themselves around to get that weight up there. Really stabilize yourself. Draw that core in to stabilize yourself. And make it just a bend, an extension at the elbow. So I'm extending my elbow and I'm bending my elbow. This should feel hard. Rest. All right. If that didn't feel like it was too hard, I want you to go up a little heavier. I'm going to go up a little heavier. I never do this, but I'm going to do it today. Here we go. So we're really focused on strength here. Occasionally, we focus more on endurance. That's when you get in as many as you can. Right now, we're focused on strength. So that's why we're going a little heavier than what we normally would do. If you start noticing what I'm starting to notice for myself, if you start arching your back a little like this, that weight's too heavy. Rest. So I want you challenging yourself, but I don't want you to have improper form. Go back to that lighter weight if you need to. We're gonna pulse. So this is when you get out those $19.99 shaker weights for only one small $19.99 payment. These shaker weights too can be yours. Impress your friends. Let them see just how cool you look shaking your weights. Woo! You impressed yet? Come on. Shake it like the faster you shake it, the more money's gonna fall out. Rock, rest. Woo! All right, do me a favor. Shake those arms out. We've got side raises next, so lighter weights for that one. For the first round, I'm gonna go extra heavy. So extra heavy for me right now for side raises, because we're working into those deltoids, is actually 8 pounds. So not crazy heavy, right? You're just gonna lift it up, shoulder height, and back down. Feet hip distance apart, shoulders up, back down. Here we go. So actually, 8 pounds is really challenging for me right now, especially for 40 seconds. You'll be able to tell from my face in a few seconds here just how challenging 8 pounds is when you're working in your shoulders. Does this mean that if you can lift heavier than 8 pounds that you can't do it? Absolutely not. Just go lighter for you. But maybe 2 pounds is heavy for you. Rest. Guess what? 2 pounds for a side raise actually is heavy. So don't feel any shame or regret there. All right, I'm going to stick with these 8s for round 2. We're going to hold it up isometrically though. So isometric just means you're holding. So this helps me. I don't know if it'll help you. But when I have to hold something and just keep it right there, I like to visualize there's a consequence to dropping my arms down before that timer goes off. Like maybe there's a trail of puppies right underneath my arms. And if I drop them down, those puppies get squished. Nobody here wants to squish puppies, right? I know you don't. So keep those arms up. 2, 1. Okay, the puppies are gone. You can take your arms down. Woo! All right, we're going to do pulses next. So I am actually going to go to a slightly lighter weight. I'm going to go to my 5s. Here we go. Little pulses. So that's it. Little 1-inch movement up and down. If you got to close your eyes and visualize those puppies, visualize. You have been given a challenge. All throughout your life, you will be challenged. You decide, will I pack up and quit, or will I rise to the occasion and continue? 2, 1. Woo. I know you're a riser. I know you are. All right, grab a drink of water. We got a few seconds here before we go to our next move. All right, this is our last set with bicep curls. I'm gonna use my I don't know, it's still heavy, but more medium heavy weight. You pick what you feel works for you, but the reason I'm doing medium to heavy is because we're gonna do a full curl and then a half curl. And man, that one burns. All right, here we go. Full up to the collarbone, half, full, and half. Exactly, just like that, full and half. Make sure you're breathing here. Check in with that core. You never know when I'm going to come through the computer screen and give you a little jab in your core. So with that in mind, keep that core braced up. Draw in those 3 inverse abdominals. Rest. Woo! All right. This next one, we're going to do the same thing, but I want you to slow it down. Really intentional. Slow. Slow. Here we go. If you wanted to go a little bit heavier to help you go slower, that's a great way to do it. You find real quickly how much slower you go when that weight gets real heavy, right? But heavy isn't always better. Because if you don't have control of those weights, then you're doing yourself a disservice. 2, 1, and rest. All right, the last round is going to be 3 pulses at the top, 3 pulses at that midsection. All right, here we go. 3 pulses at the top. 3, 2, 1. The song that I'm playing right now literally just said, "Thank God for chicken." Like, what? I don't know. I'm playing some EDM Christian remix, and they definitely just said, "Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous?" Just like my wall thing says over there. And then all of a sudden, thank God for chicken. I mean, I do love me some chicken, but that's super random. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Excellent. All right. We're going to roll to a kickback. So you have 2 options. You can stay standing, hinge it forward, row it up just like we did earlier, where you rowed here, narrow rows. But you're going to row it up, and then you're going to kick back the weight, bring that elbow in, drop it down. Row it up, the elbow is bent and lifted, kick it back, pull it in, drop it down. Okay? If you wanted to, you could always come down to one knee. All right, here we go. So it's the same thing if you're down on one knee as if you were standing up. If you just need a little help with that hinge forward, coming down to your knee a little bit, because you know then that your torso just kind of rests on your leg. You need that extra help to maintain that posture, then feel free. Stay standing up. Rest. All right. Next one, we're going to take the row out. We're just going to hold it up here. So you're at that top range of the motion, holding that kickback. So we're hinging it forward. Slight bend in those knees. Don't lock them out. Keep those arms lifted. They're going to want to droop forward, right? Pop them back up. I know this one's tough, especially if you stuck a heavier weight. Keep fighting for me. Woo! It's getting tough. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Shake it out. Get that blood flowing back into your fingertips because we got pulses next. So if you want to row and then pulse, you can, or you can just pulse. So here's one option. 3, 2, 1. Option 2, you just stay right here. We're targeting the back side of the arm, those triceps right now. Keep it going, we're almost there. 3, 2, 1. Excellent, great job. Whew. All right, you can actually lose all the weights for right now. We're gonna be doing completely body weight. We're coming into push-ups. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still just do not love push-ups. They are still so challenging. But that's why we're gonna do them, because they are challenging in all the right ways. Those arms are gonna go wide to the edges of your mat. You're gonna push those elbows wide, bring them back to center. You're gonna feel this all through your body. Toes or knees. So you can be up on your toes or drop your knees down. Keep that neck and spine in alignment as you drop it down. If you can, come up to your toes for at least 1 or 2. It's always good to challenge yourself for even a little bit. Do more than you did the last time. And then when your form starts to falter, then you come back down to your knees and you pat yourself on the back at the end. Rest for a job well done. All right, this next one, we're going to hover. So you're going to come down to that base end of the movement. Now, you're not touching the ground. You're hovering above the ground. Here we go. Isometric hold here, hovering above the ground. At any point, if you're like, I am going to collapse, this is too much, you count to 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're still about to collapse, give yourself a little rest and come right back in. But I want you to count to those 5 seconds before you release. Why? Because I want you to see that even though your mind is telling you that you can't do any more, you can. Rest. Your mind will give up before your body. So during that time, you have to fill the gap and tell your mind, I'm going to keep going. Pulses. So come down, little 1-inch movement up and down here. Option, you can do 3 pulses and then come up. So 3, 2, 1, up. Or just stay down in the base of the movement. Woo. I think I need to do another push-up challenge. I'm getting weak in this area. Keep going. Remember that 5-second rule. Before you give up, you count to 5. 3, 2, 1. All right. Great job. Excuse me. Grab a drink of water. We're going to go into overhead extensions. So typically, for this one, I like to just grab one weight, hold it in my hands like so. But some people like to hold it this way. I personally prefer this way. I'm just going to bring that weight, bending my elbows to the base of my neck, lift it straight up. Here we go. If this bothers your shoulders, doing triceps overhead, you can go back to those kickbacks we did like 2 moves ago and do them instead. Works the same muscles, well, works the same triceps without adding shoulders into it. Whew, because I am making just the cutest faces at you today. 2, 1, and rest. Okay, great job. Yes, you're doing great. Hang in there with me. We're going to hold isometrically. So you're going to come to the base level of the move and hold it there. Here we go. So this is it. This is what it looks like. My elbows are bent. Try not to let your elbows flare out too wide. Try and keep them narrow. Whew. If your triceps cramp up for a second, you just lift it up and come right back down. You'll see me do that every once in a while. Because as much as I'd like to say that this is just a walk in the park for me, this is challenging. Rest. Whew. We've been doing this for what, like almost a year now? Maybe not quite, maybe like 6 months. But it's still a challenge every time. All right, we got pulses next. Here we go. I dropped down to a little bit lighter weight. You don't have to. I just know pulses always feel that much harder for me. Whew. I would rather come to a lighter weight than not finish. Keep going. Check in with that core. Is it still braced? 3, 2, 1. Woo-hoo. All right, do me a favor. Shake it out. Grab some heavier weights. We're going to chest fly. We're going to be on the mat, on the ground. Palms are going to face in to start at the top. They're going to open wide. I want there to be a slight bend in the elbow. So those arms are not straight like when we did those side raises. They are bent. All right, I'm going to try 20. We'll see how it goes. Push your low back into the mat. Push those arms straight up overhead, palms facing in. Open it wide, bending those elbows. Squeeze it up. That squeeze in the chest is really what I want you to focus on. And those arms, they don't even necessarily have to touch the ground. If they do, that's okay. Woo, keep going. I want this weight that you're using to be a challenge. I don't want you to move through this movement easily. Rest. So with that being said, if that last round wasn't a challenge, get me some heavier weights. If it was, great work. All right, hover. So you're going to come down to the base level of the movement, opening it wide. Remember, those elbows have a bend, but those arms, they do not touch the mat. They are hovered about an inch above the mat. That's it though, just about an inch. So they're not like way up here, just an inch above the mat. And you're just going to hang out there, feeling that tightness in your chest right now. Feeling those muscles working to hold those arms up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. All right. We're going to pulse for the last round. So if you need to drop your weight, you sure can. I don't know why. I feel crazy. I'm going to try and pulse with this heavier weight. Here we go. Same thing as the last one. You're just adding a little movement in there. If you want, you can do 3 pulses. Tap together in the middle. 3 pulses. And bring it up. That's up to you. There isn't a right or a wrong. There's simply what you choose. Now, if your form was terrible, that would maybe be a wrong. But choosing to continuously pulse and move, there's no right or wrong there. And rest. All right. Grab a singular weight, or you can have 2 weights. I'll show you what I mean. If you like having 2 instead of 1, you take those weights narrow, palms facing in. If you're using 2, you bend your elbows, bring those weights right above the forehead, and straighten it up. If you want to just use 1 weight, it'll be the same thing, but this time the weight is in your hands. Your hands are on both sides of the weight, and you're going to bring it down above your forehead. I am so not using this weight. Keep going. I don't know if you could tell that, but I felt like I was about to drop that weight on my forehead. So that's a consideration. That's reality. You're balancing a weight over your forehead. So maybe you prefer to use 2 weights so you don't have it directly over your skull. And rest. But that's up to you. If you feel like you got excellent control and that weight's not too heavy, go for what you feel comfortable with. We're going to isometrically hold, so that means it's going to hover above your head. This is one where if you get to that point where you feel like your arm's going to give out, I do not want you to count to 5. I want you to release for a second and come back in. Why? Because you have a weight over your forehead. If you drop that, there is no coming back from that. Traumatic brain injuries are not something we want during Boom Fitness. It's not something we want ever, but definitely not when you're taking my class. I want you to get safely on with the rest of your day. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Woo-wee! My arms are jello. All right, pulses are next, so get ready. I know you're excited. Woo, here we go. Pulses. If you want to pretend you're holding those shaker weights for only $19.99, you do you. Kind of what it looks like. Woo-hoo! Keep pulsing for me. Be strong and courageous. Fill your heart with the joy of the Lord. During your trials, this is a trial. Rest! Woo-hoo! Anybody else's arms like not really moving anymore? All right, chest press is next. So we did chest flies, now we're going to do a chest press. So whatever weight you were using, you can just use the same one for that chest fly. Actually, I can usually go heavier for the chest press versus the fly. Palms are going to face away. Your arms are going to go, when they come down, they're going to go wide like a goalpost. And then they're going to push straight up. Here we go. Wide. Narrow. Oh, man. Anybody else shaking already? I'm shaking. Think about your life right now. What's your prison wall? What needs to be shaken down right now? What's your trial that you need to praise God through to see your circumstances change? Rest. It's easy to get boggled down with our circumstances. It's uncommon to praise through the storm. Pulses, or isometric rather, sorry. So your arms are in that wide goalpost. Palms are facing away from you. Hold it here. If you want, you can always just move through it slowly if you don't like holding isometrically. It was uncommon what Paul and Silas did in that dungeon. Most of us, when we get thrown in dungeons of our lives, we throw ourselves pity parties, right? We don't start singing worship songs. That's uncommon. 2, 1, rest. But if you want those uncommon results, like walls breaking down, being released from your prison, worship is where it's at. All right, we've got pulses next. Remember, you can do the 3 and lift or just pulse. So I'll show you both. 3, 2, 1, lift. I'm kind of glad on the ground here you can only kind of see what my face is doing because this is really hard. But you know what? Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Nothing good comes in your comfort zone. It's comfortable, but change doesn't happen there. If you want new things, do new things. Rest. Whew. Whew. I must have missed one. Oh. Grab a heavier weight. We're going to do shoulder shrugs. I did miss one. So you're just going to hold weights in your hands. Shrug your shoulders up. This is going to burn your shoulders. If you want to add a little lower body, you can always add little heel raises as well. So option 1, just shrug your shoulders. Option 2, lift up those heels. Either way, whether you're lifting your heels or just shrugging those shoulders without the heels, keep going. Two, 1. Rest. All right. I want you to drop that heavier weight for this next round. Go like light to medium. What we're going to do, shoulder shrug, front raise. Shoulder shrug, front raise. Shoulder shrug, front raise. If you've only got one weight available and your shoulders are just burning, feel free to just shrug. Or if it's going to take you too long to switch out your weights, then just shrug it up. Your shoulders are gonna be screaming at you tomorrow. Sorry, not sorry. Rest. All right. For the last one, shoulder shrugs, side raise, shoulder shrug, front raise. Okay? So this is all out shoulders here. Here we go. Shoulder shrug, side raise, shoulder shrug, front raise. I know your shoulders are screaming right now. How do I know? Because mine are right now. I'm right there with you. It feels just as hard for me as it does for you. Almost there. And rest. All right, you made it. We're already into our core segment. First move, we're going to do a plank. Then we're going to immediately go into a side plank. And then we're going to go into the other side plank. And this is unusual. We don't normally do a bunch of planks. But you'll come back to that first side plank side. You can come down to your elbow for the second round if you want. And we're going to do hip dips in that side plank for round 2. So just be prepared for lots of planks. Regular plank to start right now. So I want you to check in. Your wrists should be stacked just right underneath your shoulders. Your neck should be facing down. So your gaze is at your mat or on the floor. Your spine is in a straight line. So we don't want any of this. We're not in down dog. If you need a break, you can always push to down dog. But as long as you are able to stay in the movement, I want to recommend you stay as long as you can. 2, 1, rest. All right, now you can pick wrist, up on your wrist, or down on your elbow. Pick a side. Side plank is next. You might be thinking, Sarah, did we not already do enough arm work? Now you're making us do arm work during our core work? Yep, that's what's happening. If you really want to challenge yourself today, you can try lifting a leg up. If that's too much, you can drop a knee down. That's a great option. If you're just like, I can barely stay up, drop that knee down. 3, 2, 1. Flip it over. Other side. You only got 10 seconds to flip it. Wrist or elbow. You pick. Here we go. So now you see I have my arms straight up. You don't have to. You can have your hand resting here. Maybe you're challenging yourself today, seeing how long you can hold a leg up. Maybe you're like, Sarah, I'm struggling here. This is hard. That is totally understandable. Even with the knee down, it's still hard. But you can do hard things. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch back to that first side. I'm going to come down to my elbow because it's starting to bother my wrist, but you can stay up if you want. Here's what we're doing different. Dropping that hip down. If you need to drop that knee down, you can still do this move with one knee down. And don't feel less than because maybe someone you are working out with has their leg up and you've got a knee down. We're all at different points in our fitness. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. And rest. Flip it over. So that other side, same thing. Here we go. So if you can see here, I'm just dropping my hip down and lifting it up. If your wrist doesn't mind, you can stay up on that wrist and really burn out those arms. But if you're like me and that was starting to bother your wrist, then come down to the elbow like I am. 10 more seconds. The very last move will be on our back. Rest. Flip to your back. We're just going to do a little prayer crunch. Knees are bent. Hands come together like you're praying. Crunch it up. I want you to exhale on the up. Do the uncommon. Fight through the difficult circumstances in life with joy and thanksgiving. While there is still breath in your lungs. And rest. All right. First move for our stretch, I just want you to put your hands on your knees. Round your spine, tuck your chin. Just kind of lean it back. Feel that stretch through your shoulders. Excellent. Should be a nice little release on those shoulders. We worked them pretty hard today. I want to say at least half of these moves involved shoulders in some way or another. Even some of our triceps involved shoulders. So we want to give them a little love. All right. Pull one arm across. Great job today. I know there were probably times today where you thought, this isn't fun. I want to quit. But you didn't. You're here. At the end, you made it through. I don't count taking little breaks here and there as quitting. You finished strong, and that is commendable. Go ahead, switch. Not everybody is willing to challenge themselves in this way. So I really want you to know that I am proud of you. Your Father in heaven is proud of you, and that you are doing a great work. Lift that arm up, bend the elbow, and then pull it down. Hang out there. All right, well, you guys finish your stretching. I'm going to finish that devotional. So our verse was from Acts 16:26. Go ahead, switch those arms out. Suddenly, there was a massive earthquake, and the prison was shaken to its foundations. All the doors immediately flew open, and the chains of every prisoner fell off. Wow, what powerful imagery. All right, I want you to find a wall, a door frame, just something that you can push your hand into and then turn away from. So you can feel this through your chest. So as I said earlier, Paul and Silas were severely beaten and thrown into a deep dungeon. But something happened in that dark dungeon that thwarted the enemy's plans. Paul and Silas prayed and worshipped, and the other prisoners heard them. Other side. So take that other arm, push it in, turn away. Paul even had the opportunity to lead the jailer and his household to faith in Jesus. Wow. When life circumstances throw us into a pit and we're at the end of ourselves, the most powerful strategic thing we can do is pray and worship. After all, we have access to the inner throne room of the Most High. All right, I want you to come to your feet. We're going to hinge it forward. And I just want you to pull on the back of your legs so you feel a little bit of stretch in your hamstrings, but also through your low back. So we did those deadlifts earlier. So I want to stretch out the hamstrings a little bit, but I also want to stretch out that low back. So hang out here for just a few seconds. You can even drop your head, sway it side to side. Keep going. So we have access to the God Most High, and He inhabits, makes His home among the praises of His dear people. People are always watching how we respond to hardship. Our response to trials has the potential to set many captives free. All right. I want you to come back down to the mat. We're going to come into a child's pose. So you're going to set your hips back, take your arms out in front, and then I just want you to walk your hands over to one side and hang out there. I remember one dark night in the soul, and I felt bloodied and beat up by my battle because God seemed silent and I felt abandoned. Bring your hands over to the other side. In the dark of my bedroom, I dropped to my knees, lifted my hands, and worshiped. I could feel the oppression lift, and I knew I was gaining ground in my battle. We worship because He is worth it, and He promises to strengthen those whose hearts are turned towards Him. So remember, no matter what season, pray with persistence and worship with passion. All right, just come to a comfortably seated position. Let's just end in prayer here today, and then I'm going to send you on. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for keeping our bodies safe from any and all injuries. Lord, I just pray that you would dwell within us and that we would go forth into this dark, tumultuous world as beacons of lives, not because of how great we are, but because of the light that you have shown within us and through us. I ask this all in Jesus' holy name. Amen.